He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up the darkest rainy day. He's funny and loves movies, he's smart and he's a Jew. He's an actor and an activist and wants to hear from you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Absolutely Jason Stewart. I'm very excited today because I have...
What is going on? What is that about?
I have my poster fell off. I'm so excited that to have you on the show that my poster fell off the wall.
There must be some significance to
well,
that. Imagine, you need to be naked.
Oh God!
Because in front of me, because what I do is as an acting coach, I expect people to explore their darkest innards and make them totally emotionally naked. So that was a picture saying, nope, you're going to be naked with me today.
You just shook me. Well, here we are with Ivana Chubbuck, who is one of the most, I think, popular and iconic acting coaches in Hollywood. And by total weirdo coincidence, I met Ivana when I was 14 years old in a class by a guy named Lawrence Park, who taught me a lot about structure and taught me a lot of things. I was in his class for 2 years. Ivana did not have the same experience in his class, which tells you an acting coach is almost like a friend or a lover or a mother or father or a jacket that has to fit right for you to speak to you. And I remember we had in the acting class, we had the door to the acting class and the door to the scene on stage in the same place. So you were in an improvisation and went to yourself, God, this is bullshit, and decided you didn't want to do it and left and walked out the door of the class.
Mid-scene,
and never came back.
It was like a part of the scene.
And never came back, and I thought, I love this woman. And then we would run into each other when you were an actress at the studios trying to get jobs. When you used to be able to walk onto a studio a lot, we had lunch together several times. And then I'd see you at the Comedy Store on occasion. You were a big comedy person. And then we'd run into each other through the years, and then probably around 10 years ago, I think I decided that I wanted to get off the road as a comedian and I wanted to start taking myself more seriously as an actor. And I started studying your class, and I studied with you for 4 years. And I have to say to you that the thing that, and I don't know if we've ever had a chance to talk because you always have a million people around you, is that what you did for me is one thing really very, very strongly is you gave me an incredible amount of confidence because you were incredibly respectful of me, which no one had ever done as an acting coach. You treated me as a person of age and a person of experience. And what I noticed in your class also is you treated everyone completely different, and depending on who they were and what they needed in the class.
Everybody's an individual, and the whole kind of idea of education through a group mentality, I think is ineffectual. I think you need to be able to have the ability to understand what each person needs, what their problem areas are, what their insecurities and fears are that make them unique and special, because I celebrate the things that make you screwed up. It is the thing that makes you different and makes you unique and makes you special. Do we ever want to see on the screen or on stage someone who's got their shit together? No. We want to see somebody who's trying to figure out how to overcome not only in spite of their fears and their insecurities and their dramas and their traumas, but because of that. To say that I want you to love me, if that is your objective, not in spite of who I am, but because of who I am. And that's what you got from me. You got who you are, and all the good, the bad, and the crazy is wonderful and is meant to be celebrated by you and your audience. And therefore, your audience sees that you're celebrating the very same issues that they have. It gives them hope that they can do the same. We have a job that's very important as a comic, as an actor, as someone who does this, as what I do, to explore people's abilities to take pain and trauma and instead of self-destructing with it, to construct with it, because it is a very powerful fuel. It is extremely powerful for you to be able to take the things that, you talk about being a gay man in a straight world, to the guest you had before, who was a black woman, who's a black counts, and it's not just about black, it's not just about gay, it's not just about being Jewish, or it's not just about being even Muslim. I just worked on a movie with a coming of age about this Muslim kid with a Turkish director.
So just so people know, Ivana teaches classes and has a school that you can go to ivanachubbuck.com, but she also coaches people individually.
I also work with a lot of writers and directors because
And help them how to, because a lot of directors and writers, especially specifically directors, they know how to technically do a film, but they don't know how to, they don't have the language to speak to an actor. They'll give them the result of a scene rather than giving them how the process is, how to process, because I take what you say all the time and somebody says to me, oh, you need more energy in the scene. So I realize that what I need to do is
translate it into actors.
exactly, that
speak,
I have to play something stronger, that I need to really go after this. I'm not doing that enough.
But it's not just that. It's like the whole idea is that this way of working, I've taken the science of behavior, psychology, and cultural anthropology, which is the history of mankind, and I've created the science of behavior, which is what I've based my acting technique in. So it's logical, it's scientific.
And it's really simple.
And it's simple because we live it every
because
day.
if you
Because
read
we
your
live it
book,
every day.
which is called
The Power of the Actor.
And the Power of the Actor, and show this, ladies, in her book, this is it. This book has been translated into how many different languages?
Oh, so many languages, Japanese, Russian, Hebrew, Danish, Romanian.
China, I saw Israeli,
Yeah.
South America, Holland. I mean, I could not believe it.
Yeah, that
I
was
was like
pretty
so
amazing.
impressed, because I remember when the book first, I was in your class when the book first came out,
Yeah.
and I just thought, and I remember reading the book and thinking to myself how simplistic it was. And
It's
at first,
simplistic yet
which was
dense.
Yes, but also really simple to read and simple to understand and simple for an actor to go, okay, because we are simple as people. We're not complicated in that sense.
But here's our
when
complications.
when we read it, though, but when you're reading it, for me,
Yeah.
the simplicity of it made it so easy to use
break
it.
down.
Also, I loved your little silver book, the little thin one that you did first. I still use that.
It's a great
I
little
almost like that one better because it's even simpler, and it just says, this is what you do. So if I'm doing a job and I have a problem, I go back to that book. If my talent doesn't work, because you said something also, if your talent doesn't work, you go back to the book, you go through the questions, you read the things, and then you're fine, and you bring your tools with you in your bag.
Well, but here's the thing. Because I am someone who's breaking down material from an actor's point of view, from the human experience, it works for me to script doctor. I script doctor all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I also work with directors not just on how to talk to an actor, but why do you need to make this film? What is the mission that you need to create that will help you through not only working with the actors, but with the visuals and with the writing and all the things that come
Right,
together.
does it have to be said? Can it be seen?
And that.
You said
but-
that once in class, too. You said, in a film is not meant to be, a script is not meant to be read, it's meant to be seen.
Because your job
Show
as
us,
the actor
don't tell us.
is to plump out the words. If it's just to do exactly what I call it paper pleasing instead of people
Right.
pleasing. Paper pleasing. It's a two-dimensional thing, a piece of
Exactly.
paper. So we'll just put the script on the screen.
And you can read it.
Because
Yeah.
you're going to do what everybody else is going to think that you're supposed to do anyway. You need to bring yourself and all your craziness and all the things that you are and who you are to create the plumping out the three-dimensionality of this character that brings in the sexuality, the comedy in the biggest of dramas, or the drama in a comedy piece. But I wanted to go back to the Muslim thing
Please.
because people are so anti-Muslim in our world, and I got to know this guy who's a very big star director, writer out of Turkey, and he wanted to do a coming-of-age story about a young Kurdish kid. Which is a story about his grandfather, and so I said this is a movie that's really important because so much of the Western world revile a group of people simply because of ISIS or a small group of zealots, and I said people need to know that you guys, the Muslim community, is a beautiful, loving, family-oriented world, and that's where movies are about communication. Film and television is our ability. We have this great obligation and abilities to able to change the way people think through the
man.
arts.
That's
Because-
why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why
This is
I went
great.
to a movie theater and you see a movie like when I was a kid I saw Funny Girl
Mm-hmm.
and I remember thinking, God, there's somebody there from my neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
who's funny on the outside, sad on the inside, just like me. I'm not alone.
That's so funny about Funny Girl because that was like my favorite favorite movie. And
As a kid?
As a kid, I would sing it all. And then when Barbara Streisand came to class, she came to class.
Yes, I remember. I wasn't there, but I heard.
Yeah.
Because James Brolin, he was in your class too, right?
Yeah, and she came and sat next to me.
Which was doing right before the guilt trip.
Yeah, and so she said she'd never been drunk before, and she was fascinated by the drunk exercise in my book, which is very accurate. And so she said, "Could you teach me how to do that?" And I said, "Sure." So she invited me to her house to have dinner, and I taught her.
God.
I did the chemistry exercise, which includes a sexual fantasy exercise with Barbara Streisand, and I also taught her how to be drunk organically from the exercise that's in the book and how to be drunk. And we had this long conversation. Like hours and hours and hours. Just there's so much bonding. There's so much about taking what she is. It exemplifies what I teach, which is take the bad things, the hurt, the insecurity, the things that you go through, and you put them and fuel your ability to overcome and win whatever your objective is.
I have to say, in her work in the film, The Guilt Trip, they're not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, a fun, cute film. But her work in the film, when you see a lot of women who get older, who were big stars younger, there's a certain stylization to their acting that was popular at a certain time. And she did not have that in the film. She was very real. She was very, it was a really wonderful performance if you took it just as the performance of what she did. Very, very real, very much of today. And I thought, and I remember hearing from Patty, our mutual friend, Patty Allison, who was telling me that you were working with her. And I said, yes, I see Ivana all over that.
You know what's interesting about Barbara is that she's so humble. And between scenes, she would walk up to every partners and said, "That was wonderful."
You were on the set for the movie?
No. I'm saying when she came to class.
Oh my God, in the class!
In class, yeah,
really?
In class she came. She was sitting next to me, and in between scenes, she'd come up to each and every person that acted on that stage and told them how much she enjoyed their performance and how she was inspired by them.
Just the opposite of what people think.
Totally. And she was so
I've heard that by every actor that's ever worked with her.
She is amazing. She's amazing. I totally worship her. And so when she showed me, she has a special room, this whole kind of underground house thing that I think you've heard of, that Barbara has in her home. Anyway, the funny girl costume.
Oh, wow. She still has them?
Yeah.
The leopard coat and the hat?
Big plexi boxes, and it was I felt like I was going and rainbows and unicorns and my heart going like this, It's oh my God.
How do you not act crazy?
Yeah. I know.
You know what I mean? That would be my goal. Is how do I not act crazy? It's just like a real person, because inside I'm a 12-year-old boy going, oh my God!
I was totally thinking that. How do I keep it down? Keep it down. Keep it down.
Oh God! And I know her son, and he would. When
Jason was in class.
Yeah, and
a long time ago.
And I would hear he would when I would spend some time with him on occasion. She would call, and it was just like a Jewish mom wanting to spend time with her son. You know what I mean? Just what are you doing? How come? Why don't you come over for dinner? Or no difference. Very similar to my mom. Very flamboyant, very smart, very funny. So we sort of bonded in that way. And I think that anybody who has had a parent that's, certainly grew up in the 70s and a time, it was very different.
Different.
So very permissive, not the same as it is.
Well, it's like the whole idea was just kind of let us do what we're going to do. And that, to me...
Which they can't do now. They're helicopter parents.
Well, they kind of have to be.
Exactly, I know.
And also the social media, making everybody available to people all over the world.
It's too much, yes.
It's really too much. But I always got into a lot of trouble because I had lack of guidance. Lots and lots of trouble.
You were a little bit of a rebel girl when I met you, though.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So we're going to come back. We're going to take a break. We're here with Ivana Chubbuck on Absolutely Jason Stewart. We're going to talk about Charlize Theron and Halle Berry, and I really want to talk about Terrence Howard, because that's one of my favorite performances in a film that you coached him in. And you completely changed his career around. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back here on Absolutely Jason Stewart. Don't change that channel. Oh, we don't have a channel.
What's going on? This is Minnie from Lady Pants. You are watching the top 10 women who are killing it in comedy right now. Magic number 10. Melissa McCarthy. Melissa is a funny-ass baddie, and there are way too few of them being appreciated out there. Fat chicks are funny, they're beautiful, and they are badass. And thank God Melissa is literally everywhere to remind us. How many TV shows is one allowed to be on at one time? She's arguably the single most talented physical comedian of our time and commits so fully to her comedy, she has earned the title of the Melissa McCarthy. Bonus, how effing cute is her chubby chaser husband slash writing partner slash comedy partner slash life partner slash soulmate Ben Falcone. We die for that kind of true love. Please God, don't let them break up. It would be so much worse than when our parents did. Oh, I'm sorry, did you think we were stopping at 10? Just kidding, we're doing 11.
Hey, I'm Dee Dee from Lady Pants, and you're watching the 10 women who are killing it in comedy. Here is bonus number 11. Tina Fey transitioned from being that female writer friend of Amy Poehler's on SNL to being the first female head writer of SNL, to being that chick with a scar on her face that played Sarah Palin on SNL, to writer, executive producer, and star of her own long-running smash hit 30 Rock, to being a full-on goddamn movie star. Tina, you are the pinnacle. You're a mom, you have good, and we mean really good female besties. Your marriage somehow survives your insane schedule, and you're the most gracious boss anyone could hope for. At least in our fantasy. Are you really as dope as you seem like you are? Fingers crossed, because if so, there's hope for all of us. If Trump actually gets elected, we can count on you to do something to at least make us laugh and forget about the internment camps we're all going to be working in.
Thank you for watching the top 10 women who are killing it in comedy on zhollywood.tv.
Yes, be sure to click like and subscribe and share and tweet and all that stuff if you like this video.
And also, if you want to see what we do, check out our web series, Unsingle, at unsingletheseries.com.
Also, you can see all of our sketches, etc. at ladypantscomedy.com.
Do it.
Hey, we're back at Absolutely Jason Stewart with iconic acting coach Ivana Chubbuck, who I knew, who was Ivana Moore, and I was Stuart Greif. And I just was saying off the air, and I want to say it on, that your coaching and your work, even though I could not afford you, is all over Birth of a Nation. Because in each scene, I went after things. In each scene, I had a physical way of being. I created a whole new body of the way I moved, the way I walked. I came from someplace, I went from someplace. I had all the things that I learned from you are in the movies over the years. So sometimes when you study with someone like her, it's not always on the set. It's ingrained to you by working with her in her class.
Yeah, I want to keep my voice on your shoulder.
Oh, you are.
So like
you and a couple people, honestly.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yes.
The devil and the angel
Yeah.
on your shoulder.
Nia Foch always used to say she had this exercise when I was a kid where you'd be going to the airport and you would be coming from someplace and going from someplace. And I always loved, and I was in a movie before that called Hush Up Sweet Charlotte where I was arriving at a train station and I actually got to do the exact exercise in the film. I said, this is so exciting. I'm finally getting to do it exactly the way Nina had taught me, you know. So you've worked with so many wonderful people and you've brought a lot of people to Oscars. And I want to show a clip. Are we ready with any of the clips? I want to show a clip of Charlize Theron when she had done Monster, and I want to talk about that. Now, are we ready to show that clip out there? Okay, this is Charlize
In Los
Theron
Angeles.
winning the Oscar for Monster.
With this wonderful teacher called Ivana Chubbuck. Ivana taught me how to take my emotion and take everything that has happened in my life to make me an effective actor. The stakes have to be high, and so it was really an interesting place for me to kind of stand on my feet and fall on my face many times.
Wow. That was at the Actors Studio, and certainly that performance probably would not. You've been working with her since she was 19, you said? And how did it all come about? Did she come to you and say, I want to do this movie? Because I know she produced it. She knew that she was never going to get a part like this, so she sort of made it happen.
One of the things about Charlize is that she was always she's a go-getter. And actors that sit around going, nobody's calling me, and I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I say, make it happen. You've got to make it happen.
Build
Because
it
there's
and
so
it
many
will come.
venues these days that, like, look at yourself being here, venues of YouTube, and there's all kinds of ways of putting together like a piece of film off of an iPhone and making a sizzle reel and creating a movie or TV series like my Crazy Ex, which is all started from that. And so she's like that before all those things were
Take
available.
it from your own personal life.
Well, no, it's not. Let's certainly not take it from her own personal life.
No, monster. But I'm just saying.
I'm saying no, but she's someone
for you
who's
as an actor out there, if you're listening at home, take your stories, the stories that are yours, and put them into. I did that with a web series called Mentor, and I just because I'd been mentoring kids, and I wanted to do a series about that.
which is great, but the point, more importantly, the point is you did something.
Yes.
Because whether it's about you or whether it's about another story or biopic or whatever it is, it's like you made it happen. And that's what Charlize is always about. So Charlize would be like, say she was shooting a movie a half a mile away. She would come during her lunch break with her sandwich in her hand and watch class for the hour that she had.
Wow.
She would call me a couple of days before she would wrap on a movie and say, I want a scene and a scene partner. Anne would call one of her friends from class and say, let's get together. And she'd come up with these scenes that she wanted to do, and then the ones I assigned. So she's always double working in between and in betwixt doing films. And so she's that kind of spirit. So she's that person. She's not the most beautiful. She's beautiful, but she's not the most beautiful. She's not the necessarily.
I
But
beg
no,
to
but
differ.
listen to
You've
me.
seen
It's
her in
really
person.
I know. But what's more important is that she took whatever. Brad Pitt was also that kind of worker in class too.
Mm-hmm.
He was somebody that was like he rehearsed so much. People wanted to were complaining that he wanted to rehearse too much. I expect 6 to 8 hours a week of rehearsal for class. He would do 2 to 3 hours a day to the point where literally people would complain. He came to me on privates. He had no money, so it was like money for privates, money for class. He worked 3 jobs to just go to acting class and do privates, and he had these awful jobs, terrible jobs. Like one was he was a chicken outside of a chicken place. He sold cigarettes at ball games and so forth and so on. But the point is, he came to me for things like commercial auditions, and I'd say, "Honey, don't have any money. Save your money on the commercial auditions." One of his first parts had 3 lines, and he wanted to work it and work it and work it and work it. And I said, honey, that's an hour and a half
So
on
it's
these 3
beautiful
lines.
people who do not lead with their looks. They lead with their work ethic. They lead
That's
with.
why we don't want to
Yes.
be that.
No.
We don't want to talk about their looks. We don't say they're the most beautiful people because it doesn't really matter.
It's going to get you in the room, but it's not going to get you the job.
I won't necessarily even get you in the rooms. A lot of waiters and waitresses, we have the most gorgeous wait staff in Hollywood, and they can't get.
I hear they have to bring pictures and resumes down to get their jobs. I'm serious.
Probably, but
Yeah.
the point is that they can't get in the room. So it's not even going to get you in the room. There's no lucky factor with the looks. You have to be tenacious. You have to have work ethic that's so.
I talk about that a lot on the show.
Beyond and beyond.
Showing up.
No, but beyond showing up, having the work ethic of that includes no social life, that it includes like nothing but work, less sleep, no social life. This is the kind of thing that all successful people have. There's a secret, the recipe to success in all businesses. One is work ethic. That's obvious. You have to work like many, many hours every day, not just like 40 hours a week. 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what I do. And the second part of the equation is taking risks, being fearless in the choices that you make, meaning make that piece, be fat, be gross, be
She
this
gained
person
how much
who's
weight for that part?
I don't know a lot.
30
obviously,
pounds, I think.
More than that.
Really?
She was pretty fat in that. But and shaved off her eyebrows and did the whole thing. I mean, there was no vanity. It was like, I want to be an accurate depiction of this
It
person
was
from
just-
inside and out. But it's like, the idea is, I want people to not glorify Hollywood in any way, because Hollywood is just like any other business. It's a business. They will take you out. You could become a star, not because you're beautiful, not because you're lucky, and not even because you're talented. There's a lot. Talent's a dime a dozen in this town. But because of work ethic, working really hard like any other business, taking chances, being fearless. That's true of all things about life.
How did it come about with Terrence Howard? because he did a film called Hustle and Flow, which you coached him on, because you talked about it a lot. And for some reason, that part and the way he did it resonated with me so much, because it could have been the most, he plays a pimp in the film, could have been the most stereotypical, sort of lame kind of performance, but there was something, there was so much heart and so much warmth in this guy. You just fell in love with him.
Well, let me tell you what we talked about and how he made that happen.
Please.
I said, look, you're doing a movie. So it was a very inexpensive movie. And basically, it's like a pimp and hoe movie, you know. So it was, on the page, exactly that. And so I said, we're going to transcend this genre, and we're going to make it be about the truth about why a pimp is a pimp, not our outside thought process of who this is, the cartoon version.
There's no judging, yeah.
Well, forget about judging. It's like there's a real person that made a choice to do something that they needed to do to feel empowered in the ghetto, to have money in a world where they were never going to have it because they come from poverty and the social hierarchy of being black in the ghetto, and being seen as powerful, being seen as this is their family because they don't have one. The girls are their family, and they truly do love them. But like a father, sometimes you have to punish your children because they're going to go wrong if you don't guide them through tough love. So basically, I talked to Terrence because he has kids, and there's no parent that doesn't question their ability to parent. And you start to question, like, how good of a parent am I? How am I screwing up my kids? So I said, these girls are not, these girls are going to do substitution, and these girls are going to be your children.
Wow.
So I love you. I want you to grow. And if you act out, you have to be punished. That's the hitting. But it was from such love. It's like the whole idea of what he was doing was coming from, I want you to grow up and become amazing adults. So to him, in his head, these were children that needed to be guided and taken care of and dealt with in the same way that a parent takes care of their children, and overcoming his own issues of not being a good enough parent with his kids. What he did was, or what we did together, was like within the environment of the movie, we're trying to resolve those issues.
And the scenes that I love the most were the scenes when he goes to the club and tries to meet the famous singer who got, and the way he completely changed and became like a little boy almost, trying to come in. To me, it's an extraordinary performance.
But you know, because you've been in my class, I always say like the best performances are little kids in big people's bodies. It's like that childlike focus.
Oh my God, I forgot that. Yes,
yeah,
you used to
it's
say
a childlike focus. It's like a kid when they want something will go, I want a toy. It's a $1 toy. They'll threaten. They'll have a tantrum. They'll negotiate. They'll seduce. They'll run away from home. They'll do whatever it takes. They'll do whatever it takes to get that toy. Now that's a focus. There is no focus like the focus of a child. There's also the innocence of a child. A child can be the biggest brat, but we'll forgive them because they're coming from the innocence of a child. And so we bring that into bear as being an adult person with the focus of a child, with the innocence of a child. You can get away with anything. Look at Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. He's a heinous serial killer who eats his victims, and we loved him because he was coming from the need of a child. And so we have to find that. And we also just think about this. Every time you're in high-stakes situations, you're attracted to somebody, or you're really angry at somebody, the kid in you naturally comes out. When you're really attracted to somebody, what happens is, like, you can't sit still, you can't look at them, you giggle too much, you get, antsy and stuff like that, because it's like that the kid in you comes out.
Exactly.
Okay, when you get really angry at somebody, you have to win, no matter, even in mid-fight. You realize maybe I'm wrong, you still maintain your rightness because that's what kids do.
You also got, I think it was the first person, was it Halle Berry, the first person that you coached that won an Oscar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's show the clip of Halle Berry winning her Oscar. That's what I made.
And the Oscar goes to Halle Berry in Monsters Ball.
I'm so honored. I'm so honored. And I thank the Academy for choosing me to be the vessel, but which is blessing my flow. Thank you. I want to thank Ivana Chubbuck. I could have never figured out who the heck this lady was without you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being my mentors and believing in me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What does that feel like to have somebody in that kind of pivotal moment mention your name? I remember when Gina Davis mentioned Roy London's name, of what was passed and who we both knew, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God!" Because I don't think there very rarely does an actor mention their acting coach. It's sort of like hidden, like
Or
magic.
dirty little secrets.
It's like this.
Well, it took us out of the dirty little secret category.
Or just I did this all by myself, which you never really do.
Well, even the people that someone will say to me, that person has never studied, so why are they so successful? And I say, not only have they studied with me, so I know they studied.
People don't like to show the seams, the lines.
Well, that they just popped out of the womb being that kind of talent, and
because she really came from just working in what I call hair and makeup television.
Yeah.
She came from a completely different area of the business where she wasn't in film. She was doing just, beautiful girl soap opera-esque kind of stuff and became an Academy Award-winning actress.
Well, she's...
she fought for that part, am I correct?
Yeah, big time.
Because
they didn't even want to meet her.
Yeah, it was offered to Angela Bassett, I always heard first, who turned it down.
No, who would turn down that role? So the thing is, that's
what
an
I'd read.
urban legend. No,
oh, not true.
Never
Okay,
happened.
cool.
They didn't offer it to anybody. She had to fight to get in the door just to be met with. And because they said she was too pretty to understand this woman's, journey. And so I told her to go in and tell her true journey in life, that her life is filled with all kinds of despair and issues, that she's just a survivor. Halle Berry's a survivor of much and a lot, and so much I can't say because that's our secret world.
Yeah.
No, but how what I do is like a therapy session. You could tell me anything, and unless you reveal it yourself and to the public, then it's a secret in my head. It will always remain a secret. But trust me, Hallie is not a lucky, beautiful woman. What she is a survivor and someone who works really hard. We worked 30 hours on that script. 30. Wow. I made her deal with stuff that most human beings would be too scared to deal with. And there's one point when we were doing, when she had lost her son, that scene in my room that I coach in. Have you been in?
Yeah.
And so, and she was sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden she just started to shake uncontrollably. This is kind of thing that you cannot do organically. I mean, an actor can't, I'm going to shake now. It's like an actor can't make their pupils contract. An actor can't make your heartbeat faster, but
it has to come from the process, not
process
not an idea.
Physically makes things change. The process, that's why I have drunk exercises. I have exercises that make you feel truly pregnant, which I put her through so that she could feel like what it felt like to have a kid. This is before she had her children. And you really feel it from the inside that changes your outside. Changes the things that are happening within physiologically in your body, like heart beating faster, getting goosebumps, which is like, think about that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's goosebumps in the heat. To have your pupils contract, to have your skin go white.
I learned something in your
fear exercise.
I learned something in your class. I don't know where it came from. I was working on a scene, and I was sitting in bed, and I just raised my hands somehow. And I know that when I raise my hands in a certain way, it makes me cry. And I don't know what, I think it comes from something as a child, not being held, I think, by my mom, or not being somebody coming to me. And it was a physical thing, and I used it, and I've used it. People say, "What's he doing?" and I just have to do, And it just,
that's the little kid in you. We always have to
very
explore
much.
the child.
I think it's almost baby.
Well,
I think
it's
that
not
far
almost.
back.
I think it is baby.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is we have to explore the child in us because that's our pure self. They say that by the time you're 5, you are going to be who you are. And so think about that. That's all that stuff. So this gesture where you were not being dealt with, love me, that's all a child is a love sponge. I just want to sponge some love. When you're not getting that, what happens is that's where that makes you want to kill.
It came from doing the work.
That becomes a serial killer type person. Or the person that does get some attention for doing that, becomes someone who's needy. And so we just explore all these things that create that behavior from the child inside us.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to see what you did with Sylvester Stallone that brought him his second Oscar nomination for playing the same role, which was very rare that's been done, I think. I don't know if it's been done more than once. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about it. We'll be back in just a second with Ivana Chubbuck here on Absolute Jason Stewart. Stay with us.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Dr.
Drew.
Hi. Oh, I'm so.
Guys, how are you?
It's all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously,
Sure.
if someone like, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked in, you
know.
shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m.
I start. Hi, I'm Moxie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're the ladies of Suicide Girls Radio, the world's leading BYOB radio show. Pour a glass of your favorite tipple and tune in on Wednesday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of free nipples. Oh, just flash it would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? People think flashing your tits is easy, right? And it's actually kind of hard.
I'm Money B, and you can kiss my ass.
Let me swallow my snot.
That's sexy.
Keep up the good work, Mile Net. Ah!
Let me see how I'm coming. Check out.
No, I love you.
Oh yeah, no cyclocyanabin.
Do you take one? There you go.
Always switching up. Always switching up.
It's my wedding band. Jumped out of my. Oh my God! I hope it's on Omen. Call my wife.
He keeps moving away.
Hi, I'm Rob Schneider, and you're watching T Hollywood V.
Z Hollywood TV.
Dango bang. A dango bang.
Nailed it.
Welcome back to Absolute Jason Stewart with my guest Ivana Chubbuck. I just want folks at home, especially the actors and people that want to act, and sometimes we get a lot of people, and I get a lot of emails about that, people who want to be in the business. It really is a lot of hard work. And when I was saying before that when I decided to get off the road of doing stand-up comedy, I headlined comedy clubs for 20 years and really take my acting career seriously, it took a couple of years to start getting parts. And then I started getting parts with directors that I really wanted to work with. Ivor Sachs for Love is Strange, Sean Baker for Tangerine, Billy Cliff for Hush Up Sweet Charlotte, and now Nate Parker for The Birth of a Nation. It came partly because of being in your class and being able to develop myself again as an older person. Whereas when you start and you're younger, you keep having to go back to class to keep yourself going. In the same way you were talking about Streisand at 70-something years old, coming to your class and saying, I'm doing another movie, I want to explore this side of myself.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you really did for me. And I think when people are listening at home, they really need to know that it's about constantly growing, constantly changing, constantly showing up, stepping up to the plate, and the rejection is overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember trying to have conversations with you at the beginning of the class when everybody wants to talk to you, and you keep saying to me always, keep doing it, you're doing it, and I never felt that I was doing the right thing. And what it is, there is no right thing exactly. It's just keep showing up and bringing your best self.
And never giving up. And
Yeah,
never
my dad
giving
always
up.
used to say to me, what you do is you go to the interview and you wear a tie. You put the tie on and you look good and you show them that you're indispensable to them. And what he meant was, and I've said this a lot, is showing people your best self. And a lot of times you'll show someone your best self and they won't see it. Laurence Olivier said that in a quote once. He said, sometimes the worst thing to do is to show up and for them not to be able to see who you are. And that's okay, because that will propel you to the next person who will see you.
Well, I think actually Pacino said it best when, 'cause I think it's like making choices. It's like a lot of actors just think that they're just going to have like one choice that's going to propel them through. But great acting is in the details. That means a whole lot of work has to be done. It's in detail after detail after detail. So Al Pacino was being interviewed by someone on television, and he said, how does it feel to be an acting icon? And so Al said, I don't know anything about being an acting icon, but I can tell you this, I make a lot of choices, and I hope they work.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole point is, you can't be afraid. It's like, I have so many actors say, but what if I make the wrong choices? I said, there's no right or wrong in the arts. It's more effective or less effective, but make choices.
I always say that, too, to people that I've talked to, friends. I'll say, look, you're a good actor. No matter what happens, the worst thing to do is to not do anything, not to make anything, to be boring. Yeah. That's bad. Not to make a crazy choice that's weird. Roger Ganvir Smith is in this film now called Dirty that I had a little part in, and he plays it very Christopher Walken. It's a standard cop drama. It's called Dirty, and it's out on all the platforms now. And he just is so bizarre. And the kid who is starring in it with Paul Elia is also the star of my web series Mentor. And he was saying, I don't know what he's doing. And I said, Paul, just go with it. You are getting these pearls from this guy that's done all this work, and it made the film exciting and different, and it reminded me of your class.
Yeah, because I always tell people, I said the worst that happens is that people say you're overacting, and but there is no jail for overactors. So someone's not going to come to your door and say, I'm sorry, miss, come with me, you are overacting, you must go to overacting jail. So it's like, it doesn't exist.
I don't even like that word overact. I like what you said before, wrong choice.
No, it's not a right or wrong, but it's like, the idea is explore. I work with so many directors, and one of my guys is the guy who did Suicide Squad. David Ayer has been one of my students for a long, long time. David Ayer, the guy, Suicide
Oh my God, he was in
Squad.
class. He would sit there in the front.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
And he's worked Training Day. He directed
yes.
Fury. And
oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, so like he's been my student for a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
In fact, he's one of the quotes on my website, and stuff. And he believes in the work. And think about that movie. I don't know if you know anything about the movie, but it's crazy characters.
Yes, real actors going gems.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I teach. Take a chance. The worst that could happen for an actor is for the director to say, pull it back. Because it's really easy to pull it back. It's really hard to create a performance.
Oh, very hard.
Directors love, I'm married to a director, I work with so many directors, and they will nod their heads up and down saying, yes, go for it. The worst that could happen is
Give
say,
me
pull it back.
Give me a platter of ideas.
Yeah, and then let them pick the ring, the 3 rings, the 2 rings they want, or maybe they'll have all 3 rings. Sidney Lumet said something very important. He said that I would always have two versions of a take. At first I'd say keep it small, keep it in the eyes and that kind of stuff. And then I'd say, okay, next take, I want you guys to just like choose scenery. Just really go for it and just like don't care how it's going to find its way. Just go for it. And he said I almost inevitably always use that take. So take a chance.
Or a piece of it, or a slice, or something that.
It doesn't really matter. The point is, take the chance that you're giving the director. Because there's a chance that they're going to cut around it. But I say if you get 20% in, it's still 100% more than most actors are willing to do because they're too afraid. And so you get put on a pedestal. These directors look good because of you. They keep casting you. The critics talk about you. You get more work out of it. I have this story like Travis Fimmel, who is on Vikings.
Travis Fimmel.
Yeah,
Maggie's Plan?
No, he did Maggie's Plan.
He's so good in that. This is the guy who played Viking, who is just known as this He-Man. But I knew him only from class playing roles like Maggie's Plan.
Exactly.
And people are writing about him now saying, how did he do it? Because he's been doing it for, I said, that's what I knew him. I never knew him as the Viking. I knew him as the crazy guy.
Yeah, the crazy guy from class.
Exactly.
So we work on everything, every line, every moment. It's like, and even in Vikings, we created this, we really go for it. There's like moments, the moments that the critics talk about are the moments that we created out of crazy thought processes. How can we push the envelope? Because artists must push the envelope. Lines are meant to be crossed. Lines are meant to be mushed out and erased, and so we don't even have a boundary. We have to push the envelope. We have to change the world with new ideas. Well, new ideas can't happen if you're playing it safe. New ideas can't happen. It's like Picasso took a chance, and he said, I'm going to paint, and that won't be realistic. The critics were all over his shit saying that you suck. But then he's become one of the most iconic
Of
painters
course.
of all time because he took a chance. Because that's how he saw the world. He saw the world through cubes. He saw the world through misshapen, figures and the way things.
So you
look
took
to
an
him.
actor who probably is one of the biggest chance takers ever, which was Sylvester Stallone, who turned down everybody in town who wanted to buy Rocky the screenplay, but not wanted him. Became an Academy Award nominated actor. His film won Best Picture. He went on to work with Norman Jewisham and some incredible directors, John Huston. And after a while, he stopped working with the great directors and he started doing action films and he became very successful. And then as they got older, that sort of, went away a little. And then he came back and went back to this iconic character and you coached him in Creed. And it sort of was even a richer performance because it was an older man.
Well, I think what happened
It
is
was
that
even more complex performance.
It's the first time we saw his true vulnerability, where he was dying. He was given a life-threatening disease. He thought, and the reason why he almost turned it down was that people don't want to see Rocky broken.
It's not
And
true.
so, well, that was what we talked about. He
Right.
said, my skills. I've atrophied, his words. So I need to go to somebody that the world respects. And I've heard about you, and I want you to take me there. And I'm a willing victim here. And
Willing victim.
Well, kind of have to think of that way because I go right for it. I knew that his son had died a couple of years before.
Boy.
Let's see, I wouldn't be talking about this if he hadn't talked about me and
He talked
PR
about it
about
publicly,
it,
yeah.
and in New York Times.
Really, really rough.
So I'm revealing that I said to him, okay, here's the deal. We're going to use that because there's no way you could have closure on your son dying. Even in the best of circumstances, you'd feel guilty about it. And he said, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's hands off. And I said, no, people need to get that they're not alone in their grief. You need to help them through their grief through your performance.
That's the reason we go to the movies.
Exactly.
That's what makes us want to go
what-
to the movies.
That's our job.
Exactly.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
We're not just
He
about being
forgot.
truthful. It's about changing people's lives, and giving them, we're not alone kind of stuff. So
I say that all the time, yeah.
Because, we're not, if we
That's
if we really put our darkest stuff out there.
That's what the movies did for
So
me.
what I made him do was, he said, well, I don't know if I could pull it up. And I said, look, I'm just going to pull out any scene from Creed. So I said, now just see me do the substitution exercise, see your son, and I want you, and first, before you begin the words on the page, just say, I'm sorry. And he did, and then we just launched it. There wasn't a dry eye in the house, because there's only the two of us. But the point is, we were both weeping, and he said, oh my God, I need to do this way. And he was such a hard worker. Literally, they threw a couple pages at him. I was on vacation in Cabo. He calls me up, and he says, I'm sorry to bother you on your vacation, but they threw 2 more pages at me. Send them to you through your email, and if you don't mind, tell me what my objective is. 'Cause I think it's 3 different things, and I know you told me it's only one per scene, one objective per scene. So I went through it with him, and then literally, it's like calling him to the set. That's what a hard worker he was on this movie. So it pays off in the
This
details.
is so great. This is so great. Everybody, please go out and get the book. Tell us the title of the book again.
The Power of the Actor.
And where can they get that?
You get it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble.
If you're interested in the class, you go to Ivana Chubbuck.
Just Google my name, because I don't, just Google my
1
name. and it'll
N,
come
2
up, yeah.
B's. It's exactly the opposite of what you think. Yeah, because I always think 2 N's, 1 B.
Oh, really?
It's the other way around, yeah.
Okay,
That's what I always tell people, and they can
So
find
it's
you.
like Ivana, like Ivana Trump.
Yes.
Spelled the same way.
Yes.
And Chubbuck, like Chubbuck.
With 2 B's. Thank you so much for being on the show. I just
Absolutely.
adore you.
Well, I adore you, and you're doing. I'm so impressed and proud.
Aw, well, thank you.
I'm a proud mommy right now.
Ah, thank you. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up the darkest rainy day. He's funny and loves movies. movies. He's smart and he's a Jew. He's an actor and an activist and wants to hear from you. He's absolutely Jason. He's absolutely